Hey guys, welcome to the JW Untold 2 channel. So this is part 4 of the series of the 1975 fiasco. So far we have seen several pieces of evidence: the Watchtowers, the Awakes, the Kingdom Ministries. We had talks as well, and this has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that 1975 was promoted by the Watchtower. We also gonna look at a few more articles that the Watchtower published, but this time we're gonna see how they changed what they said before the 1975 and after 1975. They changed things around. Also, we're also going to see how the Watchtower apologized, or did they actually apologize, or did they actually blame the Jehovah Witnesses for following what they were saying? So let's have a look at the evidence that we've got to follow, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thank you again. So now, instead of looking at what evidence we got for the 1975, let's have a look now at the publications, the changes that they done between the years prior 1975 and post 1975. And let's see how deceiving they are. It's just ridiculous. So we're going to look at this book called The Truth That Leads to Eternal Life, print edition changes post 1975. So we're going to look at the 1968 edition and the 1981 edition. And let's compare the differences here now. So we got on the left, 1968 edition. It says, also as reported back in 1960, a former United States Secretary of State, Dean Acheson, declared that our time is a period of unequal instability, unequal violence. And he warned, I know enough of what is going on to assure you that in 15 years from today, the world is going to be too dangerous to live in. And if I'm not wrong, they put in brackets 1975. Now let's have a look at the 1981 edition, and let's have a look at the difference here. Also, as reported back in 1960, this is on the right now, 1981 edition. Also, as reported back in 1960, a former United States Secretary of State, Dean Acheson, declared that our time is a period of unequal instability and unequal violence. Based on what, this is the changes, guys. This is the change. Based on what he knew was then going on in the world, it was his conclusion that soon this was going to be too dangerous to live in. In the 1968 edition, he said, so from based on, he said, he warned, I know enough of what is going on to assure you that in 15 years from today, the world is going to be too dangerous. But now instead he's saying, based on what he knew was then going on in the world, it was his conclusion that soon, instead of the 15 years from today, they changed it to soon. This world is going to be too dangerous to live in. So from 15 years, brackets 1975, they changed it to soon. How deceiving is this? I mean, come on. On the same book, let's have a look at another quote that they changed. 1968 edition says, more recently, the book entitled Famine 1975 said concerning today's food shortages, hunger is rampant throughout country after country, continent after continent around the undeveloped belt of the tropics and subtropics. Today's crisis can move in only one direction, toward catastrophe. Today, hungry nations, tomorrow, starving nations. So this is the fear mongering that they were putting out there. So now let's have a look at the changes in 1981. More recent reports have shown that a constant lack of adequate food, resulting in chronic malnutrition, has become the major world hunger problem today, the London Times reported. Wow. So they changed so much here. They've changed everything. They actually quoted someone else's now. Instead of quoting Femin 1975 magazine in 1968, now they're quoting the London Times in 1981. Right? And it's just ridiculous. So the quoting from the London Times reported they have always been feminines, but the scale of ubiquity, presence everywhere, of hunger today is on a totally new scale. What is the point of changing these quotes? I mean, if there's, we know that the Watchtower doesn't do anything for a reason. And what is the freaking reason for these changes? You'll be the judge of that. Okay, the 21 edition, the Watchtower the 21 publication we're going to look at is the Watchtower 1976, July the 15th. The name of the title of this Watchtower is The Reflections of an Olympic Track Star. Skipping a balanced view of time. The admission of guilt, or is it guilt tripping? Which one is it? This is where the Watchtower had the opportunity to come clean, to apologize to the public and to their followers from giving up the jobs, selling the homes, not having children, not pursuing higher education. So this is the time where the Watchtower can come clean. And what did they do? Let's have a look if they admitted to guilt or the guilt trip the followers. Let's have a look. Page 440 to 441, it says, it may be that some of who have been serving God have planned their lives according to a mistaken view of who? They're not saying who did the mistaken view or just what was to happen on a certain day or in a certain year. They may have, for this reason, put off or neglected things that they otherwise would have cared for. Oh my. But they have missed the point of the Bible's warnings concerning the end of the system. Or who? But they have missed. Who missed? They're blaming the followers instead of blaming themselves. Instead of saying, we have missed. We are the leaders. We missed the point of the Bible's warnings. Our mistaken view. The leaders of the Watchtower should have said our mistaken view, but no. They said to a mistaken view of just what was to happen. They didn't mention whose mistaken view, and now they are blaming the Jehovah Witnesses. They have missed the point of the Bible's warning. You, Jehovah Witnesses, not the leaders, not the Watchtower, you, the followers, have missed the point of the Bible's warning concerning the end of the system of things, thinking that the Bible chronology reveals the specific date. Oh, after all they printed, what do Jesus' own words show concerning the proper attitude as to the end? This is Watchtower's apology. This is more like guilt-tripping the followers. What do Jesus' own words show concerning the proper attitude as to the end? To look for a date or what? He said, pay attention to yourselves, that your hearts have never become weighed down with overeating and heavy drinking and anxieties of life, and suddenly that day be instantly upon you as a snare. For it will come in upon all those dwelling upon the face of all the earth. Keep awake then all the time, making supplication that you may succeed in escaping all these things that are destined to occur, and in a distant and standing before the Son of Man. Did Jesus mean that we should adjust our financial? Now, instead of praising Jehovah Witnesses for selling their houses, for not taking higher education, for not having children, for selling their houses, for not taking, for not going for another employment, Did Jesus mean that we should adjust our financial and secular affairs so that our resources will just carry us to a certain day that we might think marks the end? No. If our house is suffering serious deterioration, should we let it go? He's saying, Watchtower was just saying, you fools, why did you sell your houses? You fools, why did you not take further education? You fools, why did you not have children? You fools, why did you not take better careers paths? Oh my God. If a house is suffering serious deterioration, should we let it go on the assumption that we will need it only a few months longer? Or if someone in the family possibly needs special medical care, should we say, well, we'll put it off because the time is so near for the system of things to go? But they were praising for this. They were praising the Jehovah's Witnesses that were doing this. Now they're flipping the coin, going, you fools, can't you take the admonition from Jesus? This is not the kind of thinking that Jesus advised. No, but the Watchtower leaders did. Jesus Christ. Then what did Jesus and the apostles mean when they spoke of being alert? Now they do mentioning names. Before, when they say mistaken view, they did not mention names. They didn't mention the Watchtower leaders. They didn't mention Jehovah. They didn't mention Jesus. They didn't mention the Bible. They just say the mistaken view of who? You can take a guess. You, the followers. Mean that they're spoken of being alert as to the signs of the end, as to awaiting and keeping close in mind the presence of the day of Jehovah. They meant for us to be absolutely confident that the day will not come one moment later than Jehovah's purposes. Oh, hold on, 1976, that's a year later already. Peter said that this should point us to holy acts of conduct and deeds of godly devotion. So now that nothing happened, we should dedicate ourselves to holy acts of conduct and deeds of godly devotion. Being watchful that we are living by Bible principles and that we are busy proclaiming the end of the world. No anymore. Sorry. No. The kingdom message now. Convincing people of the urgency of turning to God. All of us can make improvements in our worship of God. Now it's all of us together, guys. Come in. All of us, we can make improvements in our worship of God, cementing a closer relationship with Him. Perhaps we have up to this time done the best we can, and we have made improvements as we went along. Does the fact that the end is very near then mean to us that we should make big changes in our way of living and serving God? Not necessarily. We don't have to make any changes. We don't have to make any decisions about not having children, about selling the houses because the end is near, on all these other mambo jumbo that they did. Not necessarily so. However, there may be major improvements that we scripturally need to make. Also, if there are areas in our life in which we can buy out time from vain pursuits in these systems, we should do it. In this way, we may have continued to experience the joy of full-time pioneer service over the years. All of us can check to see what we can do. But it's not advisable for us to set our sights on a certain date. Oh, now it's not advisable. Now that the date has passed, it's not advisable. Right. Why didn't they say that back in 1966, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, even 75? Why didn't they say that? It's not advisable for us to set our sights on a certain date. They didn't say that. Neglecting everything we will ordinarily care for as Christians, such as things that we and our families really need. We may be forgetting that when the day comes, it will not change the principle that Christians must all times take care of all their responsibilities. This is the icing on the cake. This is like maybe lighting the bomb, like putting the fire on the bomb. This is just a massive bombshell here. If anyone has been disappointed, if any of you Jehovah Witnesses have been disappointed through not following this line of thought, he should now concentrate on adjusting his viewpoint, seeing that it was not the word of God. It was not the word of God that failed or deceived him and brought disappointment, but that whose fault is it? It's saying here. What is it saying? But that his own understanding was based on wrong premises. Whoa, Jesus Christ, man. They got no shame, these people, honestly. No shame at all. However, say that you are one who counted heavily on a date and commendably set your attention more strictly on the urgency of the times and the need of the people to hear. And say you now temporarily feel somewhat disappointed. Are you really the loser? Are you really the loser? Are you really hurt? Oh, now they're employing this tactic. Are you really a loser? Are you really hurt? Really? Actually, you should be thanking us. Here, listen to what they're saying here. We believe you can say that you have gained and profited. Oh, actually, you owe us now because you actually gained and profited from this by taking this conscientious course. Also, you have been enabled to get a really mature, more reasonable viewpoint. So, because of what all happened, because all what you went through, you actually owe us. You actually owe us. You actually gained, and now you became a more mature and more reasonable. You have a more reasonable viewpoint of things. Shameful. It's just shameful from Watchtower, honestly. So now we have the yearbook 1980, page 30 and 31. So let's have a look at the admission of guilt by the Watchtower, or is it again a guilt tripping? Let's have a look. The brothers also appreciated the candor of this same talk, which acknowledged the society's responsibility for some of the disappointment a number felt regarding 1975. So here they are actually, it's a very short apology, kinda of apology, because it did say some of the disappointment, not everything, but some of the disappointment a number felt regarding 1975, or just a few people felt disappointed. So we acknowledge the society's responsibility regarding 1975, but it was just a few, just some. What a small freaking apology. I mean, they're not even apologizing, they're just acknowledging that they said something wrong. Whoa, Mike. All right, let's look at the other publication, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom. I actually have this book too, the Jehovah Witnesses Proclaimers of God's Kingdom. On page 633, you can actually go and look at yourself. Let's have a look if there's an admission of guilt or is it guilt tripping. Let's have a look. This later led to the idea, sometimes stated as a possibility, sometimes more firmly, that since the 7th millennium of human history will begin in 1975, events associated with the beginning of Christ's millennium reign might start to take place then. Okay, so it's not really an apology. It's just maybe making a statement that sometimes stated as a possibility. So it wasn't sometimes, it was all the time, was regarded as 100% correct. It was Jehovah's date, Jehovah's chronology, Jehovah's timetable. It was presented as a fact. I quote, fact, no possibility. There was a possibility that the end of the governments or the Satan's ruling was gonna come, but it was a fact that the 6,000 years and everything that comes with it will follow. Well, guys, we had a look at all these publications and all the evidence is just outstanding. We've got many articles that we can back up our claims that the Watchtower actually proclaimed the 1975 as the date of reckoning, the date where Armageddon will come, the day where all this world, all the system of things, the governments, all the wicked people, which is people that are not Jehovah Witnesses, will come to an end. Also, this is where the time the Jehovah Witnesses will come to become a perfect human, and the reign of Jesus Christ for 1,000 years will start in 1975. So, but with all this evidence that we have, that we looked at, we have to think about this. We have to think about the integrity of the Watchtower, how they change things around, how they proclaim one thing, and then when it never happened, they changed the story around. So we have to think about the integrity of this organization as a religious entity. They are not integrity to the word. And we also have to look at the repercussions that they have with all these teachings that they do. How many people were affected for the 1975? Only one particular year of the hundreds of the 100 years that they've been on. And this 1 year, 1975, affected thousands of people's lives. The careers were gone. The money were gone. Houses were sold to enjoy the last few months or few years that they were expecting to have. And also, so many couples that did not have kids, didn't have children, just because they were expecting that the end of this world will come in 1975. The Watchtower is guilty as for ruining so many lives. And we have to think of how many people committed suicide from this huge disappointment when they found out themselves that they didn't have anything left to live for, because they've just, they were expecting to just end on that year, but they were they were disappointed. And to come around, for the Watchtower to come around and not to take responsibility, to say sorry for everyone, but instead blame the Jehovah Witnesses for doing the wrong thing. But at the same time, saying that they were doing a fine work for selling their homes, for not taking on the jobs, for not taking on a new career, for doing full-time pioneering, indoctrinating other people into this organization. And for the Watchtower to come around and say that, blaming the Jehovah Witnesses for doing this sort of things afterwards, for instead of taking responsibility. So we have to think about the Watchtower. How can we trust such an organization? How can we trust someone that they will say one thing and the next day will say another thing? They have no integrity, this organization. So for the Watchtower to do this is disgraceful. And for the Jehovah Witnesses, once they check for themselves all this information and still back this organization, they can only blame themselves for this, to keep deceiving themselves for following such a deceitful organization. Let's just hope that people will learn from this history. Let's hope that people will wake up from this organization, because it's just ruining lives year by year. So, well, I'll leave this video here, and thank you guys for watching. See ya.
Stay alive to 75. Stay alive to 75. Stay alive to 75.